hope you like the video. If you don't like the video, I'll catch you next time. With the stake lawsuit shit, I had started to look this shit up for real, because I felt like, did I have it in my phone? I think I fake got it in my phone. I had started to look it up because there was all this conversation about, who Drake is in the lawsuit and why it's come to pass and everything else and why he gets mentioned, and the sensitivity with academics around the whole shit made me say, like, let me see what's to it. And so from looking at it in a quick overview, I felt like there was two things that they were up against with this whole lawsuit. Like, the reason that the lawsuit was triggered in the way that it was, of course, because gambling is not legal everywhere in the same fashion. But one of the things that tends to happen is lottery. I want to say most states do the lottery thing, but it's ran on the state level because it's about like chance and being able to tax and all these other things. So when I was in my early 20s, I worked at the casino in New York City, the one that Nas is fucking with now. I'll insert some pictures so y'all can see. Long story complicated, when we were building that casino, I was a part of it and shit. When we first opened, there was a lot of Vegas vets, Atlantic City vets that had come there to bring their expertise to create the structures within the organization, the procedural structures, the processing structures within the organization, right? So you needed some old dogs to create this new trick, right? And it was run by the lottery, and there was a lot of shit. I think they invested something like 800 million or something like that. Niggas made that money back in the first month. So I want to acknowledge first and foremost, because I know that there's a lot of conversation about getting into gambling. I don't think that y'all understand how much money is in the casino lifestyle. And we look at like places like Vegas and Atlantic City and whatnot, and we like, yeah, like they're main attractions, but I don't think that we think about the revenue generation as far as that's concerned. So I'm gonna give you my experience to tell you how I'm thinking about this whole lawsuit thing as far as Stake, Drake, and all of them is concerned, right? First and foremost, the final steps that have come up with that lawsuit, I believe, is that they are going into arbitration. So I know that when I worked in the casino back in, what was that, 2011? I want to say it was 2011 to 2018. I worked there. So in that time, you get these like vouchers, right? Like the money is printed out on these vouchers. So they put money in the cash boxes or inside of the machines, and they print out these tickets. And so I worked on slot machines when I was there, and I went from working on slot machines to being a manager and reporting on what the slots were making and so on and so forth. And this is why I'm telling you, like, y'all think y'all wouldn't invest in a casino until you see the money that comes out of these shits. So on these tickets in particular, so when you put your money in the machine, the minute that you walk in the building, you ultimately are set up that you are in a contract agreement with the organization or with the casino in particular. And all of them say, in the event that something was going to go wrong, you would be in arbitration. That shit is everywhere. So when you print out these tickets, when you sign up for your gaming membership, when you sit at the machines, they got the little M game thing on the front that tells you like, oh, if something happens, blah, blah, blah. And it's these little bits and pieces all over the place to tell you that you are officially in a contract with us, right? So an important part of a casino is not just that it's completely addictive, but it's also that they set you up to keep you there for a long time. And this is some of the shit that we learned from the old dogs. When we went into the casino, they showed us, he was like, you notice that when you come inside the casino, like there's no windows? And we looked around and it's like, there aren't any windows. That's kind of wild. And they like, yeah, they do that so that you don't have track of time, right? It's like, wait a minute. That's a really good point. They soup you up with liquor. Why is that? People think, oh, because you want to have a good time, it's social and blah, blah, blah. Your prefrontal cortex is impaired with liquor because, that's a neurotoxin. Remember that bar because we're coming back to talk about Krishan and her son later. So you're impaired. Some organizations, some casinos will let you smoke. Like when you go to Vegas, when you go to Atlantic City, New Jersey in particular, like they'll let you do your thing, right? So, but that's because the laws around smoking are different. Inside of our casino in New York City, it wasn't like that. You're not allowed to smoke. You ain't allowed to smoke in parks. You're not allowed to smoke in this building. But You could go out on the balcony, you could do your thing. They would have these allocated spaces and tell you you could do what you got to do where you need to do it. But the idea was the longer you keep them in the seats, and this is an advertisement, this is an intentional structure of casinos. The longer you keep them in their seat, the more money we'll keep from them. The house always wins. You got to understand that. It's a non-negotiable. There is one time in my life, in that entire 7-year period that I was there, that I saw somebody that won and actually made a genuine profit. And I'm saying this out of, I've seen people's profit and loss statements, because we used to do the P&Ls, profits and losses, as a tax document. Because people was going in there spending so much money, they would be able to go in there and collect and write off that, oh yeah, like I lost this much money, so I shouldn't have to pay taxes on any money that I may have won, because it's reported as income to the state. This is a whole entire system, right? So you keep them sitting still long enough, they're gonna spend off all their money. The one instance in which somebody won and they actually made a genuine profit, this person won, I want to say it was $300,000. We had this Wheel of Fortune machine that was right in front of the, they called it the Genting Rewards booth, customer service booth type shit. So when you come in, you go there, you give them your ID, you get a card, and then you put the card in the machine and you get points so that you can get free stuff at the food courts, and you collect all this other shit. Like, it was a whole system, right? So Buddy came in. It's an Asian guy. I think he was actually Chinese. So he walks in, he goes to the counter, he gives them his ID, he gets a $15 play voucher. Take your $15, go have a good time. He turned around, saw the Wheel of Fortune machine, slid the ticket in, hit the button. He won the maximum jackpot. So every time people win jackpots, we got to call surveillance to verify who it is, because again, this is reportable income. So we got to make sure that the person is the right person and all this other stuff. Not allow certain people to cash tickets out, all kinds of things. This was an operation. Call him up. It was like, yo, Buddy been here for 7 minutes. I said, what do you mean? He walked in the door, got his free voucher, walked away from getting his free voucher, put it in the machine, and hit the jackpot immediately. That motherfucker got his money and took his family and left. Never saw him again. Every other person will win like that. They go, cash the money, they'll take cash and come and sit their ass right back down at the machines and spend it all back. So this is a part of what the casino experience is. So that's one side of it. There is this intentional structure that technically is not illegal. Because if you go into grocery stores, they do certain kind of product placement on purpose. Why? Because they want you to come inside, walk around, and see things that you might need. This is how this works. This is how this works. That's not illegal on its own. What becomes particularly problematic in my purview of this whole thing with Steak, Drake, and so on and so forth is not only their ability to capture people's actual money, but their ability to finesse kids. And so they took what it sounds like to me, Steak took the structure of a system like Roblox or Sims and integrated it with a system that you would see something like in the casino that I worked in. Now, what's the difference between the casino I worked in and like Vegas and Atlantic City? Specifically, is that it was built on this thing called chance. I'm sure that y'all seen this video of this lady that's like, oh, she won $42 million. I'm gonna see if I can find the snippet and pop it in there. I was actually at work that night, right? And she was tight, and we was like, yeah, miss, that was a faulty machine. There was an issue with the cash box. Like, the cash box used to just pop out and it would send the screen off. And the reason that we couldn't like get to it is because she had made such a scene around the machine that when we tried to get it, that door swings open like a full door. Any other machine, it usually is a singular door that pops out this way or pops on the top that you could kind of get to it and kind of turn things down. But that machine in particular, you had to pop open the side door, adjust the cash box, and the voucher accepting piece. I forgot the name of it. There's a specific name for it. But all of that was the issue. And so she was beefing. Now, I'm going to see if we could get a real good picture of what it looked like. You could tell like the numbers wasn't right and all this other stuff, but she was upset and she said she wanted more than the steak dinner that was being offered to her, right? So, reason that this is like this is because the chances inside of the casino, specifically Resorts World, was that it was like a big ass scratch off. People didn't really understand that. So, whenever you would press a button or you would place a bet, there is a mechanical aspect of it that predetermines the outcome based on the bet. So there was a whole series of things. Like we would have a bank, which was a series of machines, and there was a seed that had to be reached. And once that seed reached, then there's a randomization of who's going to get which cash out at whichever time or which jackpot is going to hit. So we couldn't decode it. We didn't know what it was because they kept that kind of stuff secret, but you could see how the system worked on the back end. All right. And it was like a scratch off. So this is how come you see the social casinos that we have on our phones now, where it's like, oh, you could pick this up and you could go ahead and you could place your little bets and you could have your fun gambling and all this other stuff, because it's supposed to imitate that similar or congruent kind of process, if you will, right? Bet. So the social casino construct meeting the Roblox kind of setup, the even like 2K and all that shit, like you could buy points so that you could build your player and make better players and so on and so forth. And I think that this is the fight inside of the casino, and it was intended. The reason that they put, personally, again, the reason that they put like a Drake, Adin Ross, and academics inside of this lawsuit the way that they did is because the intention was to create that draw the same way that they do inside a casino, where they don't let the sun come through and you notice that the sun is up or down. Like you can't tell it's nighttime until you pay attention to your watch. Right, all of the music and the machines and the bells and the whistles, you become like lost inside of this space. So again, that's not illegal, but when I'm talking to you about it, it's like, oh, that's actually kind of fucked up. And that's what it is. It's pulling on the ethics of the whole thing. And this is how come children aren't allowed in the casino, because at that point, the vulnerability, the lack of a prefrontal cortex puts them at a higher risk to be highly addicted to this process and lose more and not realize the risk and the reward associated with something like gambling. So when you have a Drake and Adin and academics playing this kind of game with the social casino, and this is why I think that there's a clip. I'm gonna see if I can find of academics talking about it. He's like, this kind of stuff happens all the time, and casinos always go through this and blah, blah, blah. And he's absolutely right.
While he was talking about the most recent stake lawsuit that involved DJ Academics and Drake, Joe Budden spoke on the lawsuit and criticized academics. His main point was that DJ Academics was promoting stake while he was gambling, but he's actually gambling with house money and not his own actual money. The conversation Joe had on this podcast was pretty much about disclosure. Any company, there's always a notification at the top left of the video that pretty much lets you know that this video contains an ad inside of it. Now, academics took offense to this. He said, Joe, wait a minute. Don't you have PrizePicks as a sponsor for your podcast? Some way, somehow, DJ Academics misinterpreted Joe's entire point.
Yo, gang, we not about to. Yo, your hand got to be all the way clean. Like, what I took from it was just that he was basically saying gambling is like infiltrating hip hop commentary, and I'm like, bro, y'all biggest sponsors, nigga, you went to the Super Bowl for PrizePicks. Like, are we serious? Nigga, PrizePicks is not even allowed to be. It's quasi gambling, nigga. Like, if anything, PrizePicks like is doing more loopholes than anybody. PrizePicks even in Jersey not even allowed for certain shit. It's only allowed for one thing. So it's like, bruv, I can't talk with these niggas about nothing like that. You know what I mean? Not. I think right after he said that, he did a PrizePicks ad. I couldn't believe it, bro. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is getting out of hand, bro. This is getting out of hand. Everything that people are accusing me of they'll be like, yo, you and Drake, right? Like, you know, like I watch these guys. These guys act like, yo, I go to sleep sometimes mentally masturbating. I'm like, am I this fucking powerful? All of these niggas, when they now talk about Drake or how Drake is this, like, yo, you know, like, you know, even with all due respect, with all due respect to even my comrade Joe Budden. Joe Budden's on his podcast reading a fucking lawsuit that is so frivolous that if he looked at on face value, the lawsuit says that Stake is botting streams. Like Stake is running some fake program to bot streams, and that Drake has a gambling deal to get fake streams. Huh? Like, they actually read that shit like the shit was legit. No, that's just something else they're trying to take Drake down a notch. There's 8 other lawsuits, 8 other fucking states that they have filed the same thing in. Do you think that Stake is like sitting here like, oh, let's get Drake some streams? How? So Stake figured out how to bot streams, but not the record labels. Why would Stake want to do it? Not only that, they read the fucking lawsuit. The lawsuit has so much inaccuracies, they can't even spell the nigga name right. I actually went to look at the lawsuit. Even the courts are saying, who the fuck are these people? Okay, beyond that, I don't expect the Joe Budden podcast who hires Mona to fucking do their due diligence. They're just reading off the paper. Got you. All right, bet. So now I'm watching the whole thing, and it's clearly inaccurate. It's mentions in the lawsuit this elaborate conspiracy theory that they're saying is a civil RICO, and they said supposedly academics, Stake, Kick are all doing this scheme using fake money to inflate Drake streams? Huh? What?
6. Joe responded back to academics calling him out and asked him, bro, do you want war?
And at 1, DJ Academics.
Ack, what up?
What up, Ack?
Ack, what up, bro?
Salute. Congrats.
Ack, I hear your little streams, nigga. You want war? Hey, what's up? You trying to turn shit up?
Most businesses go through this kind of thing, and they have this thing called a nuisance account. The nuisance account is when it's like somebody, if you work at a certain place and people slip and fall, and they like, oh, I'm gonna sue you because I got X, Y, and Z and blah, blah, blah. They'll be like, okay, we'll give you $3,500. And most people take the $3,500 and go about their business. That's your nuisance account. Similar to what we see in like clothing companies, food places and that sort of thing where they have shrink. There's an expectation that people are gonna steal and you're not gonna catch every theft. You create a business model that accounts for LP or loss prevention, right? Like that's a part of it. It's like, yeah, shrink is gonna happen, all of that stuff happens. You have to create some kind of losses, create some numbers around losses, which is why Walmart, for instance, went through all of those changes to create like some kind of system to offset their losses because the number was so big, they acted like, oh, this is ridiculous. And they could tell you that that number is what it is because there is a factoring of, oh, this is how much we expect to lose and this is how much we actually lost. And that should have been expected, but it doesn't mess with their profit margin so much. But when you talk to regular civilians about it, it's a standout attribute. Like it's a standout figure. It's like, oh shit, what do you mean you lost $660 million in LP across the country in all your Walmarts? That's crazy. But you motherfuckers made $35 billion. Relatively, it doesn't fucking matter. Do you understand what I'm saying? But when you're talking in pieces and fragmented statistics, it sounds crazy. All of that to say, going back to the Stake lawsuit thing, this is what I think happened. Like in marketing, there is a certain level of like fluffing, product placement, all of these different things you're allowed to do. But it's how much are you going out of your way to exploit people, right? So weight loss drugs, for instance, if you do a trial and you have 15 people try out these medications and most people on average over the course of a 30-day period on this medication, they lost 3 pounds. But for some reason, there's one person that lost 10 pounds in a month. Marketing allows for you to say things like, in the trial run, people lost up to 10 pounds on this medication in 30 days. But that was an outlier. But because the outlier exists, you're allowed to use it in your marketing because that little fine print will say things like the average weight loss was more like 2.2 pounds. Does that make sense? And so the Stake lawsuit becomes a matter of, is this appropriate marketing or is this exploitation of the vulnerable population? And that's what they're up against. And I think that the reason that somebody like an academics got so upset and he jumped out about Lauren LaRosa and all of them, and he's trying to point the finger at RocNation and all these other things, is because he doesn't want to have the conversation about the actual strategy in most casino setups look very much like, we're not tricking them, but that's just what it is. So if you're asking me my opinion on this whole thing, I think that that's what they're up against. And I was pondering if it was going to be a thing based on what is the black and white line, right? What is the boundary between fluffing and marketing and outright you lie to these people? and you misrepresented yourself. And the truth of the matter is, if you asking me my honest opinion, I think it's just fucked up marketing. I think it's fucked up marketing. I think that when you look at somebody like an academics who supports a guy like Trump, Trump was talking about, what was he talking about? The home loans. And he was like, why wouldn't people just take out loans that lasted longer so that they could get smaller payments? What he's talking about, because most of us think about, because we have to pay the loan off. How many of Trump's loans has he gone and been pressed about because he didn't pay them back? He's like, yeah, take the loan out and default on it. Just don't pay him. His ethics are different. Do you understand what I'm saying? Defaulting on a loan is not a crime. It's not a crime. It's fiscally irresponsible, but it's not a crime. The rest of us are held to credit scores, right? So we won't get access to more money if we have a reputation, i.e. our credit score, that says that we don't pay our bills. So we knew that that was ineffective for us, but the guy who has a reputation and people like, oh no, like the marketing of him, doing business with him is enough to draw more people to buy things from us. So we'll go ahead and we'll give him the money. And even if he doesn't pay back, we'll be frustrated about it, but we'll generate business based on the affiliation with him, going back to Steak. The affiliation with people like Drake, Adin, academics, yeah. And you cover all the bases. You got the popular rapper, and then you got the streamers that go across the, I want to say spectrum, diaspora. I don't know which one ever you want to use. It's exploitative. Because it's like, yeah, get every possible person that would be interested in, of all ages, that have access to the phones, all of that, who get an allowance. It's like, yeah, what would it be if a 13-year-old spent his little $20 allowance and got into a little bit of gambling? It's not illegal. It's social gambling. It's just like Roblox. And that's how come Steak immediately was like, yeah, we got to go into arbitration. Because the idea is to pull a veil over the business structure. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. So the whole conversation, like, casinos make a lot of money. They make a lot of money. It's not a surprise to me that gambling has taken the reins the way that it has. Not to mention, and I think that this is another part of the conversation that has come up and may come up, is related to like Jay-Z and his relationship and why he was trying to build a casino in Times Square and all this other stuff. There's a reality where there are some positives that come out of casinos and that sort of thing. And that really is in respects to like jobs and attractions and revenue generation. Again, the problem that we have per usual is that trickle down does not work the way that it should. But I'd be lying if I said that the casino in New York City didn't create a lore that we hadn't seen since Gateway Mall that was built a couple exits in front of it. It's a part of it, right? So it's a part of bringing in all of that attraction, bringing the wealth, bringing the money. People said something about, I know that there was some conversation, I want to say that it could have been the Barbs that started this one, but they tried to say like, oh, Nas got it because Nas is a good person and this, that. Like they tried to virtue signal with Nas getting into the casino. I'm gonna give you my personal, this is a complete conspiracy theory. Don't take heed to it. So the whole thing that happened with Jay-Z not getting the casino in Times Square, a big part of the pushback was, I believe, like Broadway, because they felt like if you bring a casino to Times Square, you would kill Broadway as a tourist attraction. Reasonable perception of threat. And as far as a business model is concerned, I don't think that that would entirely evaporate Broadway, but I think that it would put more pressure on Broadway to perform at its highest levels. And it would require an increase in spending and attraction and so on. That's my hunch. But then the problem is that you probably can't compete with a casino bringing in talent. So Jay-Z, from what I looked up, had started to get invested in the casino in Resorts World New York City, but there was something that happened there, and one of the three people that he was investing with had something happen, and because they came in together, he was like, yeah, we all gotta leave. And he missed out on that opportunity. And I was like, that's tough, because when I tell you that, again, that shit is a cash cow in a way that I've never seen before. But Nas, to me, being a part of Resorts World Casino New York City is just how Jay-Z keeps a temperature on it, right? Remember I said that Broadway pushed back on Times Square? Who was in Broadway last year, or top of this year rather? I don't think that that's an accident. I think that that's an important part of strategy. And so before I really for real pack this up, I think that what is important to pay attention to how Jay-Z does business is something that we're not paying attention to as a collective, right? We talk about it a lot of times, our inability to unify. Um, and our fragility in our existence creates a vulnerability to cooperate with one another and come together for a lot of things too. What I'm saying in short is I feel like we should start treating capitalism and existing in capitalism like a country club experience. It's hard to trust people to collaborate with folks, but I think that it's important to see people collaborate and have fractions of ownership. Because if you notice, people like Kevin Hart, The Rock, Jay-Z, like they keep having this conversation about like ownership is not the whole thing. That's not the big picture. It's kind of like leveraging credit and liquid capital. It's this perfect balance of having a fraction, right? So like let's say you have 1/10 of $10 billion corporations. You have 1/10 of $15 billion corporations. This is how you create or amass that kind of wealth. And I think recognizing that that's the system or that's the approach, because none of the millionaires, billionaires, like the old money, they're not up there and keeping up their old money by themselves. They're a unit. And the reason, this is my theory. I believe that this is why we see all of these isms pop up in the way that they do. Because it's required to be a unit in certain things. But when you tell people, oh no, you're not in the club because of this thing, this is the identity politics aspect of it. I hope that that makes sense. Like, I'm gonna give y'all a microcosm of my experience recently. So the chief at my job just left. He put in his resignation, and the end of this month is it for him. He was here for 2 years. This is a guy, charming white guy that everybody likes, that's been kind of holding the organization together. And not necessarily that he does absolutely everything, but he makes everyone cooperate. He keeps all of the islands that operate separately, he keeps them glued together. Remember I told y'all that these fucking palm-colored bitches was getting on my fucking nerves? They didn't know that he was leaving. And they just found out. And one of them in particular is not a favorite of the founders. And so she was immediately like freaking out. And another person reached out to me and was like, oh, I did mention to her. It ended up being this whole thing, but I digress. The reason that I bring that up is because these palm-colored bitches really went out of their way acting funny with me, only for them to be afraid of the people that look like them, their counterparts, which are men, right? White men, only for them to be afraid of what they're going to do to them. But I said, y'all spend all y'all time having an issue with me, though. It doesn't make sense. Here's what this chief did in particular. I'm a short version. Buddy pulled off an $800,000 heist. I should not be saying all of this stuff. So if shit goes wrong, I'll be back here pursuing full entrepreneurship kind of gains in this space. You hear me? So listen, Buddy came in, his base was $250 quarter, right? Like, all right, cool. That's crazy. His bonus, $80K. That's aggressive. Year 2, no base pay increase, but his bonus is gonna double, $160. That's aggressive. We got a 401k match. Right now, 401k, let me confirm the numbers on this real quick. Because I think 401k's annual contribution is like $24K. Yeah, $24.5. Yeah. 24.5 max. All right. We match. So of course, if you make a quarter, you could put up 5% and get the 5% match on that. And by the end of the year, you won't get the 24K. 24K for 2 years is an extra something like $50,000. 160 and 80 is 240. Plus the 50,000, 48,000 for the 5% on the 401K. His base salary was 250 for 2 years. That's 500. You talking about an $800,000 heist right now, bro. Yo, take it a step further. He would do like his reimbursement. I'm telling y'all the business, my nigga, because I really want y'all to understand something. He submitted reimbursements. He got a company card. The company card got like 10 racks on it. He not using it. He using his own card. He's like, yeah, like, oh, I need this reimbursement. I need this reimbursement. Why you think that is? Cashback awards, flyer miles, all types of shit. And I'm like, this nigga getting the cash back in his pocket. So whatever cash back he get on the spending, he getting the full price back in his pocket as if he spent that while he got a company credit card. So it's a couple, because understand, like, you talking about a calm couple tens of thousands of dollars. Honestly, if it's over $100,000 in reimbursements, especially over the last 2 years, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not doing the math on it because it's not that serious. But you talking about the cashback rewards on the credit cards while you not really spending out of pocket. That motherfucker cashed out. Do you understand what I'm saying? In 2 years, he cashed the fuck out. And he said, yeah, fuck y'all, I'm out of here. Do you understand that these bitches spent time being upset with me, having an issue with me? And the motherfucker that was getting away with some shit was the person that they kept trying to snitch on me to? Meanwhile, buddy, he just trying to keep it together so he could pull off this heist. These bitches is beefing, going back and forth because they feeling whatever they feeling because I'm a natural enemy in their eyes. Meanwhile, it's your mans that done came through, got the bag, and is leaving you here for whoever fuck with you or don't fuck with you. What? Yo, when I tell you that I reflected on this, because at first I was like, yo, white flight is crazy. Like, immediately I got mad and I'm like, yo, racism, right? Like, I'm in my bag. And then I sat back. I talked to somebody else after the announcement came out. I sat back and I thought about it and I said, yo, he's a fucking genius. I said, because none of us, like, so, and I'm going to tell y'all this shit, right? When I went back to school, like, I didn't tell nobody at the job that I went back to school because I know a hater when I see one. And I'm gonna keep it all the way real with y'all. Like, I do like video diaries because when I have thoughts, I don't like talking to people sometimes. And so like I'll record my thoughts, or if I'm thinking about something and I'm like, am I sounding crazy? So I can listen back to myself and be like, am I nuts? Maybe I'm nuts. I don't know. But anyway, I've been saying for fucking months. I don't know if I'm gonna put the video in because it's kind of embarrassing. But I'm sure that I've recorded myself saying that this nigga is robbing them and I don't know how, why, and what. And then this happened. And I was like, oh no, the heist was happening right in front of a nigga's face. These bitches was worried about me. I was like, yo, the worst I'm doing is going to psych school and trying to create content. And I knew that I needed to create some diversification in my income, specifically because let me not say I'm not going to or I can't. My probability of having the opportunity to go into an organization and pull off an $800,000 heist in 2 years is significantly smaller because people are anticipating me as an enemy or an exploitative metric inside of their space. I'm not going to have that same kind of option as a black girl. It's just what it is. I know that. I fully understand that because I deal with that all the time. These fucking palm bitches was sitting back worried about me. Meanwhile, he was keeping them still long enough so that he could collect his bag and get the fuck out of here, bro. Somebody help me understand. But I think if you're asking me what is capitalism and identity politics, that's the microcosm of it. That's it right there. And let me also be clear. The founders of this particular organization, they are millionaires. Full stop. Because the type of product and service that they are offering, millionaires. Foreign millionaires. foreign millionaires. They are white, but they're not born and raised here. The American white guy, the attractive, charming American white guy, came in, played the part. Nah, we're gonna be great. Did all of the kumbaya shit. Listened to all the complaints he was talking. He like, yeah, you know, I was a company therapist. I probably crutched people for too long or so. And I said, oh, this nigga, yeah, son. I said, yo, he pulled it. When I tell you he pulled it off, came, he saw, he conquered. And now he out this motherfucker. These motherfuckers, they used to sit around talking about me. I said, your real problem. And let me tell you, they're not going to see it this way either. They're not going to see it. They're going to look at this situation and say that he's leaving because of other people, extraneous factors. It's going to be a whole thing. And not for a minute are they going to think about, yo, he played in our fucking face. That's it. But I'll be back because we got a few things to talk about. Still can't believe it's Sunday. I hope you liked the video. If you don't like the video, I'll catch you next time.